And here we are in the DW12 at Pocono. This was a farcical race where most of it was under yellow. I think we got a total of about 12 minutes racing in the end. Anyway, got to start. That dude whizzing off on the left will feature later. Two things I learnt racing at Pocono. One, I suck at restarts, and two, it took me until about 5 laps from the end to get used to turn 1 and turn 3. Unfortunately, by which case, by the time we got there, the race was almost over, because it was quite a while before we actually got more than 2 laps in a row. Got 2 guys coming up on the, or was it 3 guys I think came up on the right side and canked me. I lifted into turn 2, which is a big no-no because it gave them a massive run on me as they come hurtling down the inside, and I'm thinking, well, it's still early days yet, and this is Pocono, it's fairly easy to drive, there shouldn't be an accident, maybe 1 or 2 ovals, 1 or 2 accidents. Sadly, I greatly overestimated the talent of half the field. Now coming up, there's this dude. I get a run on him going down into this corner, and if you watch carefully on the right hand side as we go into turn 2, you'll see he gets very close and then backs out. Well, that was basically who had the biggest balls going into that corner, and I decided I wasn't letting him have it. And he seemed to take that rather personally, because during the first caution he was all up in me, and speaking of the first caution, there we go, he was all up in me and trying to push me into the wall under the safety car. So I think he took it personally that I was having the corner and not letting him. Anyway, since I'm doing this after the race, I can edit in replays of the incidents. So there we go, that's the first one. Whee! I tried recording it live, this race, which I can't do commentary on because I just can't multitask like that. But something went wrong with the recording, so I think in future I'm just going to do it after the race. And that means I can edit in the replay so you can see what actually happened. So, second restart. Once again, I'm making terrible restarts. My gear changing is just hideous. I don't know why I was changing gear at such a low rev. Just idiocy. And I'm still not used to the tyres going into the corner, and I'm worried about aero push, so I don't want to be too close to the cars in front. But as soon as I drop off from them, I start losing them. Turn 2, I try to take flat as every lap as possible, because you can take it flat. Car coming up on the outside, inside rather. I think it's our friend again from earlier. But that's okay. So at this point I've dropped pretty close to the back of the field, and I'm pretty annoyed, but I'm thinking, no, it's still early days, we've had a caution. Hopefully that's cleared out some of the idiocy, and then we'll just get moving properly. Try and slow the car out the field, get used to the feel of the cars, and oh look, here comes another caution as idiots collide again, and I nearly go straight into the back of the guy in front. There's some weird accidents in this because it doesn't look like they actually touch. I'm not sure if the guy lost it in the corner going too fast, or was what we call netcode, which is, it didn't look quite the same on mine, but they actually touched as far as the server was concerned. So anyway, second caution out the way. I think we'd had like 3 laps full racing at this point, and we were on about lap 8 or 9 or 10 or something like that. There was much chatter in the race of us laughing at the fact that we were going to be the slowest race ever. I think we only got like 12 minutes racing in total if you edit out all the replays and all the other stuff. Anyway, that dude in blue shot off into the distance. Once again, completely botched restart. I still haven't got used to cold tyres in turn 1 yet, and that's all I've ever had going into turn 1 because we've never gone fast enough to warm the tyres up. Dude sitting on my tail harassing me. I can't remember if I let him go or not. I can't remember if I stay ahead of him before the next caution. I had to do some fiddling with the graphics and everything to get mirrors showing so you can see what's going on behind me. Oh, and here we go, another accident again. I had to quickly swerve on this one because I was worried that guy was going to roll into me. Managed to survive for another day. And this is the replay of the shenanigans that went on there. It was actually 2 accidents because there was that one where he just flipped into the wall. And then further ahead, which I think was probably a reaction to that one, there's that. So there's another few drivers annihilated. Sadly, that was not it. So back to another restart. Watch me botch this one. If I recall, dude's going to pass over on the left before we... Is this the lap that happened? No, it's not. No, future restart. So I made a good restart this time. Start catching the guys in front, but unfortunately kind of Had to back off, which of course let the dude behind me catch up. And then someone went under my inside, and it's decided not to force the issue because it's turn 1, and then look, another accident! So yet another caution. For the record, I pitted on the first caution to get fresh tyres on, but I never pitted again after that. I figured just the extra couple of laps on the tyres may be enough, which may have been the case at the end, because you don't have to refuel, especially when there's so many yellows, you don't have to refuel the car. And since we spent a ridiculous amount of time under yellow. And here we go again for a restart. And once again I botched the restart, and this dude comes whizzing up. He'd have gotten a black flag because he passed me underneath before the line, so I'm not quite sure what he was thinking, because everyone in iRacing seems to know that's a penalty, but he just went shooting off into the distance. I think he crashes in a minute. There was some really bad driving in the race, guys trying to win the race on the first turn. Me still trying to play it safe at the moment, and the fact I'm still not quite used to how the car's feeling around the corners. Because I haven't had more than 1 or 2 laps before, and there we go again, another caution. As you can see, it's quite bloody ridiculous. At this point we're all talking on the radio about what a farcical race this is. I mean, we got about 12 minutes racing and the race lasted 15 minutes. And of course behind the caution you've got to do 70 miles an hour, but you've got to gap it, and then the people behind you, you got to worry about them crashing into you because they're going too fast. And anyway, coming up to yet another restart. And once again, guess what? I completely bodged the restart, because that's kind of my jam. So we keep moving on at this point, and I'm thinking, well, I wonder if this will be the last caution. And we actually get a good run now. That was the last of the idiots. So we get a good run. At this point I'm sitting, I think it was, well, I think I was 10th, and it's about to become 11th, because off he goes. And I was getting really annoyed at this point because I was just dropping back, and I'm thinking, this is hopeless, I should have done more practice. But, little did I know, I started to get a feel for the cars because we got a good run. I started to get heat in the tyres, which were more grip in the corner. I was able to push the car more, which upped my pace, and I start catching the guys up ahead. There were a couple of cheers over the radio when we got past the 2 lap mark, since we'd never really gotten 2 racing laps at this point. So all the idiots had crashed out and ruined some other people's races, but we were surviving, as I say, running 11th at this point, I think. So the only problem with the replay is I can't easily tell without having the big banner up and obscuring the screen. I'm going to look into how to get rid of that iRacing.com watermark at the bottom, because that's really irritating. So we're driving, as you can see, everyone's way hell and gone ahead of me, and I'm thinking at this point, this is rubbish. Oh well, at least I'm getting to do a few racing laps, because I haven't touched iRacing in 2-3 weeks, and then that dude may have been unlapping himself, I'm not sure. Fairly certain that wasn't for position. Or maybe it was, I don't remember. But I think I'm starting to catch his draft there, and I'm trying to deliberately keep it down in turn 2, which, as you can see, he lifted slightly. So I'm starting to catch him, and I'm thinking, hang on, game on, might have a bit of a race going on here. Even if he was just lapped, I don't care, it's still somebody to play with. See if I can get turn 1 right this time, which I think I started to feel the groove in turn 1 and start to get used to it, keeping my speed going through it. It's frustrating because I started to really enjoy driving Pocono, and turn 1 and turn 3 were starting to get really enjoyable right as the race was about coming to an end. If I'd gotten a clean run without idiots crashing and ruining everybody else's race, I'd have probably had way more fun. But at this point, this is where it first started to become fun, and I'm thinking, I'm actually enjoying this, but still everyone seems so far ahead at this point. Well, there's no way I'm going to catch them up. See little specks in the distance. Going up to the dreaded turn 1 again. I love the way they helpfully mark on the outside wall turn 1 and turn 2, turn 3 in case you know, forget and have a short memory. Like the dirt on the outside of the track coming down to turn 2. Bumpy as hell. It doesn't so much show on the screen because I have to have the head movement stuff off because it makes me nauseous if I don't. It gives me a headache. But through my wheel, the track is just brutal. The asphalt is just awful and bumpy and really hard to keep your line. And that was a dodgy moment. I slid out wide and I started to panic then, but I managed to save it. Never really, but it was just a little hair raising. And again, at this point, I'm still what feels like miles away. But then these two start dicing. This I did enjoy because even though I was at the back, I was thinking, well, I'm getting to watch a good joust because these two were really battling hard. So I could at least sit back and watch them while I was back. I like that sometimes, even if a race is dull. You've got a good battle going on in front of you, you've got the best seat in the house. Because at this point I start to think, I might actually be catching them. I'm trying really hard to keep my speed through turn 3. Something which would be very important on the final lap. Little did I know at this point. At this point I'm thinking, yep, I'm definitely catching them. Their dicing is causing me to catch them quite fast, and I'm starting to get turn 1 nailed. There's only about 3 laps to go and I'm finally getting turn 1 down. As I said, if we'd had more green flag running, I'd have probably done better. So they're having an epic duel ahead. I was absolutely convinced they were going to have a massive accident at some point because they were getting so close to each other. I was getting ready to panic, but I was thinking I can't lift off and gap them and give myself a chance to react if they crash, because then I'm totally boned. So no way of keeping track of the laps, unfortunately, in the replay, not easily. But we're getting near the end. So you can see me catching them up, and it's kind of like, holy cow, I'm actually going to pass people. Into turn 2, trying to keep it flat. Into turn 3, which I'm feeling increasingly confident in. Though I'm worried about the dreaded aero push where you just get too close to the car in front and it just washes away, which I think is what happened to him. So I passed him and now I'm up to 10th. He tries to come back at me but can't, he's lost too much speed I think. But then he's getting in the draft. But then if he wants to, he's going to have the aero push problem now going into turn 1. So I'll start to pull away from him. For once, aero push working in my favour instead of screwing me. For those who are unaware, aero push basically we're getting too close to the car in front, removes the air from the front wing and you get no grip and you slide up and hit the wall and die. So now I've got past him, the buddy he was duelling with has gone a bit farther ahead. And at this point I'm in 10th and I'm thinking, 10th. I started 12th, finished 10th, white flag, last lap. 10th place, if I can just get it home, I'll be fine. At least I finished higher than I started. Then, I see this. I don't try not to lift, I'm going round, there's another car off, I'm thinking, hang on, I'm passing places left and right, I think those are all for position. And at this point I'm 6th, and I see this dude and I think, I'm just going for it. So down, try not to lift in turn 2, even though I took a weird line to get past him. And then I see him right up behind me going into turn 3, and I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to get turn 3 right, this is the time to get turn 3 absolutely spot on. And that's exactly what I did. So in the space of 1 lap, I went from 10th place to finish 5th at Pocono, which I was absolutely delighted with, because a couple of years ago I quit iRacing for a while when I was robbed of a 2nd place on the last lap. So I think Pocono returned the favour there and gave me 5 places on the final lap. I was very, very, very happy with that. And now the video will end with the footage of the big accidents on the final lap. Notice it's the 1st and 2nd place managed to take each other out, the stupid muppets. And anyway, that was my race at Pocono. Brief that it was. Bye.